morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Great. I'm Grace Martin. I'm with the North Tampa Bay Chamber. I am in charge of your programs and events, so this would be one of our programs and events, our Smart Business Series. Today we have Alex Keller. Alex is originally from St. Louis. He recently moved to Tampa. He's a young entrepreneur who specializes in branding businesses via social media and digital marketing. We're really, really excited to have Alex here today. And what we're going to do is he's going to spend a little time telling us about what he does for businesses. And then we're going to open it up and we're going to spend quite a bit of time doing some Q&A with Alex. So listen hard and get your questions ready for him.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm mic'd up. This small room, we don't even need a mic. First of all, thank you for having me here. I am by no means a public speaker, but I hope to give you guys some value. I'm just marketing sales guy. Just a little background on myself. In 5th grade, I tricked my parents into giving me more Slim Jims so I could sell them to my classmates. My teacher ratted me out, and that was my first business loss ever. Ever since then, I've been trying to figure out more and more crap to sell people. So just for context, I have no interest in any humanitarian efforts with social media. I only like social media because you can sell stuff on it and build your business with it. There are 2 main things that I want to talk about with social media today. And then we'll get into Q&A. I want to go over these very quickly just because I want to give you guys the most value without me knowing the context of your guys' business and what kind of questions you have. It's hard for me to cover a blanket audience statement as a whole. So I would love to get into Q&A as quickly as possible. Now, the main thing that you need to realize with social media is that it has completely changed the way people communicate and the way value is perceived. No one cares anymore about your horse crap Jeep driving up a mountain on a TV commercial. They want to know how it benefits them and why. And it's much more community-based. So, hold on, just a quick poll to get people active. How many people are on social media right now, are running social media campaigns? Any paid advertising in here? What's your advertising budget, if you don't mind me asking?
About $200 a month.
Okay. You?
No, I charge for advertising.
Oh, okay. You're the smart one in the room. Okay.
Does that mean I'm dumb?
No. I'm just trying to get context because I have clients who spend like $50,000 a month on social media, and the advice I give to them is obviously not going to work for you guys because you don't have that kind of capital. So let's go back to the basics. With social media, what you need to understand is the one thing we're all fighting for is attention. There is only one feed on both Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat, whatever platform you're on. We are all fighting for that top spot. Now, you may have noticed how our country is in a little bit of social divide right now. Whether you're on one side of the spectrum or the other side of the spectrum, you need to realize what incredible opportunity this is on social media. Since people are so emotional and so divided, it is very easy for you to penetrate through white noise of everybody's horse crap that's going on with their day and give people value, because everybody right now is trying to extract value out of social media because they think everybody cares about them, which, let me give you something, they don't. You have to make them care. And everybody is trying to be selfish right now. And the opportunity in social media is giving more than you can take. I try to give away everything I can for free with the exception of paying my bills. Why? Because it goes into my next point of building a brand. When you're trying to build a brand, you're not worried about extracting every little dollar out of your customer. You're worried about impacting them in a way that scales your business organically. And that is the real strength of social media through giving value and building brand, is you can develop massive word of mouth. In my opinion, the most powerful sales pitch is your best friend. If I can get your best friend to tell you about me in a good way, I've already sold you. You do everything your best friends tell you to do. If your best friend tells you, hey, I got a new Jeep, check it out, you're going to look into Jeep and like Jeep a little more. And so that's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in blatantly trying to sell you something. I'm interested in creating media propaganda that builds brand around my idea. I'll give you an example of this. In the 1900s, the Michelin Tire Company, they sucked. They were getting no sales on their tires, couldn't do it to save their life. So what they did was they created a media publication called the Michelin Hotel Rating. You guys heard of that? Yeah. And what they did was they started favorably reviewing hotels that were far away from London on roads that had their tire stations, thus causing people to drive down the road, use their tires, and then stop at a Michelin place to buy their tires. It sounds like a totally reversed, backwards thinking, because you're like, why the hell should I create an article about somebody else's business? But it created the gateway drug and brand recognition that allowed them to scale further. I'll give you another example of this. Guinness, the beer company. In pubs, they were doing atrocious. So they created the Guinness Book of World Records, realizing that alcoholics like to talk about dumb shit when they're drinking, right? And so then people associated Guinness with drinking, beer, pub, sales, right? I'm trying to teach you guys a different way of selling through creating media and propaganda. So, I mean, a clear version of this is our president right now, Donald Trump. Whether you like him or hate him, it doesn't matter. He is effectively, and he's just a murderer at social media and attention getting. He understands how to grab your attention more than anybody else in our society right now. It doesn't matter if you don't like him, you're talking about him. And that's the era that we live in nowadays. I almost, in a weird way, like being disliked before you ever talk to me or like me, because then I've gotten the hard stuff out of the way. Once you hate me, I can get you to like me. It's really easy. But you have to hate me first to know who I am. So again, if you can flip your mentality 180 degrees from where you're currently standing, that is how you will maximize social media and the ROI of it. Any questions so far? No? Okay, cool. Keep ranting. So with brand building and with attention grabbing, you need to also understand where the most underpriced attention is. In the 2000s, it would have been Google, because nobody used their AdWords product. Today, people will say Facebook and Instagram. I personally think it's on stuff like Snapchat and stuff like Alexa Voice, which isn't even social media. But what you need to understand with this attention grabbing is we are about to do a huge marathon of communications shifting, right? If you look at what happened when the television came out in the 1950s versus the radio, there were people who loved television and who thought it was viable for business, and there are people who thought it was the devil and demonized it, right? And maybe some of you remember this. I definitely don't. I wasn't alive during that time. But obviously the people who thought television was bad were wrong. They were just wrong. The guy who bought 100 horses the day the automobile was created lost, right? So it's understanding technology and shifting and how quick and exponential it's getting in our business to where everything I'm telling you 24 months from now is irrelevant. So you have to be dedicated to the marathon that you're trying to run in your business, or find somebody who's interested in running that marathon for you. Because without it, if you're not creating written, audio, or video in today's current market, you're going to be dead in 5 years. You have to be communicating your message, your thesis, your ethos, whatever your message is, you have to communicate it in a visceral way that disrupts the current status quo. So what I mean by that, and this is what Trump does very well, and again, it doesn't matter what you feel about him, but he is very good at calling out the people who he's talking to and then saying the exact opposite of what you want to hear. I do this all the time on my own personal social media because I work in the music business, and the music business is very cutthroat. And so it helps to go against the status quo because then you stand out, right? I always use this analogy. If you think of a swimming pool, you got a deep end and a shallow end, right? 90% of people are swimming in the middle of it. They're too scared to go on the deep end, they're too scared to go on the shallow end. I am one of those marketers that I love swimming on my own end of the pool, right? So if everybody's in the deep end, chilling, having fun, doing their thing, I'm much more interested in swimming over to the shallow end and having all of this room to play around with in my own little area, because that's where the opportunity is of what everybody else isn't doing. What kind of businesses do we have in here, by the way? Can I get like some consensus? Like, do we have?
I have a trash can cleaning business.
That is awesome. Like you go like to people's houses and clean their trash cans?
The curb, and after the waste hauler dumps the trash, I go by and I clean it with a special truck. I sanitize and deodorize it.
That is awesome.
But it's a very small business. I just started in January. That's why I'm doing the Google AdWords for
Okay.
$200 a month. I don't know what you think about that.
What I love Google AdWords. First of all, there's a huge difference between Google and Facebook right now. And it's in the psychology of the user. When you go to Google, you have intent. You're looking for restaurants near me, dentists near me. You have the intent of looking for something, versus Facebook and Instagram and social media are much more of a brand awareness play. Even though it is cheaper, right? You also have to look at where people are at, right? If I don't know how many people are looking for trash cleaners near me, yeah, my guess was zero.
Zero.
But so again, Google AdWords is not bad, but it's understanding what kind of service and product you're bringing to people, right? If you're bringing your business model is something that not everybody needs, right? It's not a dentist, it's not a doctor, right? It's a luxury. And so your opportunity is creating video content of your people. Go, like literally just follow one of your employees around with a camera for a day, record their entire day, chop it up into a 1.5-minute video on Facebook, and tell your company's story while the B-roll of that person is playing, and then just show them shaking hands with the customer, cleaning the trash cans. I don't care if you have to fake the customer and find an actor. Businesses do that all the time. Let's not get romantic. I was in a YouTube ad for one of my clients the other day, pretending to be their patient. It was awesome. It was a fun experience. But it's storytelling, right? You need to tell your story. Google AdWords doesn't tell your story. People need to know about you before they search you, right? So again, it's awesome that you're even spending that a month, considering most small businesses spend zero on marketing a month. I would just shift it over into a more Facebook, Instagram world. Is anybody in here using Snapchat? I know you probably are, because you're like the youngest person in here. But like, is anybody else using Snapchat? No, okay, I'll just skip over that entirely then.
Is there an advantage?
Would you suggest using it? Is that
If you're a local brick and mortar restaurant business or something like a doctor's office or a dentist, or yes, for a local business, yes, because you can put your business in front of 20,000 square feet around your business for like $7 an hour right now. So if you're in a heavy populated area, like I live by the Brandon Mall, right? So if I had, one of my clients has a store literally across the street from the Brandon Mall. When he runs Snapchat ads in that area, you realize how many people he's like getting attention to because of people driving through and just foot traffic of that area. So if you're in a heavily populated foot traffic area, yes, I would recommend Snapchat. Any other questions before I continue?
Can I ask you how Snapchat works from a marketing point of view? I know the kids have been using it for a long time. And stuff.
Yeah, you think it's just for like pics and stuff?
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's what the high schools are all about.
Yeah, okay. It's, to me, the opportunity in Snapchat, again, it's the psychology of the user when they're on Snapchat, right? So you have to understand that Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, when you're on them, you might be the same person, but you're thinking differently. People on Instagram go to Instagram for escaping and entertainment. If you look at the kind of content that scales on Instagram and gets popular on it, it's all escapism entertainment, right? You go on to something like Facebook, it's a little more informational, news-based, right? So the psychology is different, entertainment versus that. Now with Snapchat, Snapchat doesn't have a followers system, right? There's no metrics for you to look cool in front of your friends. And so it's a very personalized psychology, right? If you think about, I mean, I know you probably don't have Snapchat, but if you think about who people have on Snapchat, it's the 20 to 30 best friends, most intimate people of their life. And if me as a businessman and or marketer can squeeze into that, out of that 1 of 30, that's a very powerful position to be in someone's psychology. That's the place where I can put propaganda. I like to brainwash people, literally. I think of my marketing as brainwashing.
Well, that's what marketing is always.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, everybody thinks of that as a bad thing too, but it's not bad. Like, brainwashing can be very good if you're giving value, right? If you have the best intent for your customer, well, then you should be doing everything in your power to brainwash them, because then everybody else in your industry isn't doing that, right? The reason we buy Nike and Apple products is because of brand. They've brainwashed us. Literally, I would rather get stabbed and lose my wallet than lose my phone. The second I lose my phone, I'm running. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm running to the phone store to get one. And if I don't get one in the next hour, I'm having withdrawals. Like, people don't understand that these devices are the gateway to any marketing effort that you have nowadays. They are the remote control of our lives. And if you had told us that 10 years ago, you would say we're f***ing crazy, right? But with that, you need to understand, if this is what we have today, what is it going to be like in 10 years? You're going to have ties that have audio and voice recognition thing. Have you got anybody seen what's going on with Google Assistant and artificial intelligence? Anybody? You saw it? It was crazy, right? Imagine that 24 months from now. Like, again, we're getting ready to run a marathon of attention. Attention is shifting at a tremendous rate. Again, that's why I use the television radio analogy, because that happened very slowly. Now it's happening exponentially. Tomorrow, Twitter could come out with a new feature and be relevant again. It's day trading. It's no longer investing in platforms. You're a trader. I don't know how many people invest or stock trading, but yeah, if you know that analogy, you know that an investor holds long term and a day trader is only worried about the moment. And with social media, it is specifically day trading attention. That is not my saying, that is Gary Vaynerchuk's. I know I'm on camera, so I got to be careful.
You mentioned Twitter.
Yeah.
Is being kind of obsolete.
No, I actually love Twitter. I just think the way Twitter is used has changed. Everybody thinks of Twitter as a broadcast platform of them just sharing their thoughts and people seeing it. But if you think about it, nobody's on the home timeline of Twitter anymore scrolling through all their followers. The power of Twitter is in the direct contact of people and talking to people, right? So if this lady's trash business, right? If you went on to Twitter and looked up, I don't even know if this is a hashtag, but trash problems, right? You could then go onto Twitter, find people who are talking about the problems of their garbage, reach out to them, give them some value, and that builds brand awareness, right? Like, I do that for my dental client. I have people flying in out of state to visit my dentist because I reached out to them and talked to them and gave them value. It's not rocket science. People forget that we're dealing with people. For a good 40-ish years, business was very cold, hard steel. Right now, we're in the warm wood craftsman phase. We're going back to small town rules, as I like to think of them. I'll give you an example. In the 1900s, if you lived in a small town of 100 people, when you walked into Bob the Butcher's shop, he recognized you and instantly started cutting the kind of turkey or roast beef or salami, whatever you liked, and he had it ready for you. He knew you. He knew his customer on an intimate level, right? If Bob the Butcher was an asshole to you that day, you went home, told all your friends, and his business suffered a little bit, right? People would probably not care about him for a few days. Nowadays, it's the same thing because social media has brought us more together. Actually, a lot of people think it's apart, but if you look at the statistics, more people have best friends nowadays. Or the average 14-year-old girl 20 years ago had 1.4 best friends. Today, it's 4.1. So it has actually brought us together. You might think it's sad that everybody in my generation spends all their time looking at our phone. I think it's fucking awesome. Like, because if they're looking at their phone, that means I can get their attention. Sorry. Can I get another water? Thank you.
So Alex,
Yes.
you said what's important is to write and do video and audio about
Yes.
who you are.
Yes.
Could you expound on that a little bit?
So, I mean, I am a big fan of all three, right? But it's also knowing what you're good at. If you're not good on camera, by no means do not create video content. You know, like if you're good at writing, go all in on writing. If you're good at audio, like I am, I'm a music person, so I understand audio, go into audio, right? It's important to understand, again, like the trends that I'm talking about, but it's also equally important to understand what you're good at, right? I can give all kinds of advice, but if you're not good at that advice, it's not going to help you, right? So as far as video content goes, that has exponentially, in the last few years, like been worth the money of advertising dollars that you can dump into it for the people that you reach. But again, people get confused with social media metrics, right? They get caught up in the likes, the followers, and everything else. But I'll give you a hypothetical situation. If you had one follower, but that one follower paid you $1 million a year, would you give a shit about getting any more followers? No. So it's about the quality, right? I'm almost done. And so with that quality, if you can do long form, right? People will tell you that quick Snapchat videos are like the thing, you know, because attention is so hard to get. But you'd be very surprised how millennials, especially people like me, if the content is good, I'll watch that whole hour-long video. I'll spend my hour on it. I don't need a 10-second little thing. And so it's understanding that long-tail content builds long-term value, and then it scales more, right? And two, with that video, if you can find somebody in your business to start recording video content of your business, you can then rip the audio out of that video and put it as a podcast, right? Documenting your business's video is the gateway to literally creating every other form of content that you need, because it allows you to then catch the magic that you wouldn't be able to catch. Oh, like, so when a customer, say a customer comes in super upset and one of your employees calms him down and he leaves super happy. You documenting that in a natural, organic way, that can't be faked, right? And with an actor. If you saw that with an actor, you'd be like, yeah, this is horse crap. I'm not watching this, right? But that little extra bit of magic is what shows people that your business is real and is human, if that makes sense. Did that answer your question? Yes, sir.
With Advanced Payroll Consultants, my name is Bill, as in Bill Clinton.
Okay.
Okay. LinkedIn.
Uh-huh.
Is there a similar, that's a universe as a professional that
Yeah.
I live in.
I'm a huge fan
If
of...
you can begin to address that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn. My only thing with LinkedIn is there's two main problems. The first is their ad product isn't based on a bidding system like Google AdWords. Google AdWords and Facebook are marketplaces where the prices ebb and flow, just like stocks, based on how much money is being pumped into that system, right? If not a lot of money is being pumped into the system, ads are cheap. If a lot of money gets pumped into it, ads go up. The problem with LinkedIn is LinkedIn has a floor-based advertising platform that they have like a minimum that you have to spend for the reach. Do you know what a CPM is, anybody? It's per 1,000 people that you reach, right? And so there's a floor like minimum for that on LinkedIn versus other platforms don't have that. And so you can find more opportunity in other platforms, but at the same time, if your customer is a professional, like you, it seems like you do accounting consulting, right? That's definitely someone who lives on LinkedIn. I would literally put all your chips on LinkedIn at that point. But their ad platform for what you're doing for business to business, in my opinion, is the best for business to business. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Yes.
And how,
We can go into more
then
detail.
We've got to get elevated to the top. You know, you started to get these professionals that you linked with.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only other problem with LinkedIn too, and this is what you need to remind yourself, is I've been on LinkedIn and every single fucking business person tries to just pitch me their business and get me to come work for them or whatever that is, and just don't do that, right? So what you do accounting, can you explain your business to me a little more?
What we do is that called human capital management.
Uh-huh.
There's payroll, and then there's time and attendance. For instance, Alamo and Enterprise. Every airline in the United States is on the time and attendance system that I have. And then in human capital management, whether there's one person or some of my accounts are 500,
Mm-hmm.
that's all integrated.
Okay.
All right. Then in terms of employee benefits, I wrote the unemployment tax laws for the state of Florida,
Okay.
so I know that.
So
That space.
literally writing that kind of content, writing an article of why your company saves time and frustration to the consumer. Literally the legislation you just made, that's propaganda. That's a perfect example of propaganda. You best believe me being up here on stage, I'm gonna capitalize the crap out of that on my social media today, right? Because not many young people do public speaking. But so writing articles about the time you save people, the experience you have in the legislation, that on LinkedIn alone will separate you from 90% of the people trying to spam people to get their attention. Because LinkedIn, I like to think of LinkedIn as almost like a older person like platform slightly. Like, no offense to any old people in here. I love you guys. I love my grandma to death. But there's not many people in my age group that use LinkedIn, right? And so unless they get their together, like, it's not going to be around forever.
That's the business-to-business platform, though.
Yeah. But if they're not good at curating attention to get you business, then it's useless. If you're not getting business out of the platform, why are you using it? Right?
I
So.
was thinking that I didn't know how to utilize the tool.
Again, like I think of it as people, right? When I direct message somebody or try to give somebody value, like I literally just start with a handshake. I'm just like, hey, how's it going, right? Then it's the gateway drug to starting conversation, to get people to talk about themselves, to then figure out what their problem or want or need is, to then solve that problem or want or need. It's a very sales-oriented kind of thing, but I'm just treating it as a very social thing, if that makes sense. It's a very like introduction, pitch, close type aspect, but I'm treating it as a, hey, how's it going? Tell me about yourself, explain your problem. Oh, hey, by the way, I have a solution to that problem. If you're interested, go here and check it out. One of the most easy ways on social media to get people to click your link or to check out whatever you're doing through giving value, again, this isn't mine, this is Gary Vaynerchuk's, it's called jab, 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 right hook, if you think of a boxer. There are very few boxers, Mike Tyson is one of them, who can just do like a one-hit knockout, right? And that would be the right hook, that would be the sale, the buy my crap, you know? 99% of boxers, like Floyd Mayweather, they're counter punchers. They dodge and then punch and wait for their opening, right? They're jabbing, and then when they can, they'll throw that haymaker, right? The haymaker is your sale, but all the content that you create are those little jabs. Like me as a music producer, when I put out a free drum kit, jab. You know what I'm saying? When I put out a tutorial of how I do something, jab. You know? When I'm like, hey, I put out my ebook, go give me $20 for it or whatever, that's a right hook. I'm asking for something from them. Majority of my content is giving. I believe that you can literally never give enough. I'm fascinated by guilt. I like to think I do guilt marketing, right? There's a law of reciprocity of humans, I'm sure you guys have heard of it, where when you do something nice for somebody, they psychologically feel obligated to return that favor in one way or another. It might not be equivalent, right? But they do feel the need to do that. And so I'm fascinated by giving so much that people don't even question when they buy from me, right? That's the whole brand. That's the brainwashing. That's the media. That's the content that I'm talking about. It's the value. Yes?
So you're demonstrating that right now, right? You're giving and we're all going to buy something from you.
You're not all going to buy something from you. I'm honestly only looking for one person in this crowd who resonates with what I'm talking about, who gets my number, who I can help grow their business. I'm not looking to sell everybody. You can't sell everybody. It's impossible. Any more questions?
Back
No.
to Snapchat really quick. When you have your ads in there, does it appear in their feed? Is it like between them and their friends only, or does it?
It's
appear
geo-filter ads. So when you take a
So when you scroll through, it'll.
yeah,
pop
when you
up.
take a selfie or whatever
It's
you're
one of the
doing.
Sponsored ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which again, if you have foot traffic around your business, it's very good. Again, I'm trying to give you guys basic stuff because I know you guys don't have advertising budgets. I have a lot more experience with paid advertising for social media. Again, like running $50,000 accounts for my clients. But social media just is really just about building community and building brand, right? If you can build the community, build the brand, give the value, you can get anything you want.
So you kind of already talked about it, Alex, that if you're building the brand, Facebook or social media like that might be better. If someone's going to actually look for your service, Google ads might be better.
Yeah.
So in the social media zone, Facebook, Twitter, Snap, Instagram, those, do you see more value in one than another?
Yeah.
What's the difference maybe?
It depends on the demographics you're trying to reach, right? If you're trying to reach anywhere from 13 to, I would say, 30, Instagram right now is the cheapest ad platform out there. 30 plus Facebook, easily. Yeah, I mean, really, I'm a big fan of anything underpriced, right? So with my music business, I've weirdly been targeting high schoolers because if you pay any attention to the music scene right now, young people are the thing. And so I've been trying to dump money into getting them young, build that brand awareness, and then transact on it later, like 5 years from now. Because again, I'm not worried about the immediate transaction. I'm trying to build a brand. And branding is so important, especially when we're getting into this world of voice. Like, does anybody use Amazon Alexa? Yes? You love it?
Love it.
It's great. You'll be surprised in the next 3 years how many people in this crowd have an Alexa device in their home. Yeah, it's awesome. And it gets into a really, no, I'm super glad you're using this because I did want to talk about this in my branding talk today. It gets really interesting when voice commands start to take over our buying decisions. So when you are like, Amazon Alexa, I need jeans, right? Amazon is so gangster that they're either going to, one, have their own private label and send you some jeans, right? Or two, they're going to charge Wrangler or Dickies through the nose to be the brand that everybody associates jeans with. And so the opportunity for your business is in branding, right? When I'll give a practical local business, a car dealership, right? When I'm like, Amazon Alexa, like car dealership near me, that's a huge opportunity for any car dealership, right? That's immediate access to your business. When I say there's a huge difference between me going, Amazon Alexa, give me paper towels, or Amazon Alexa, give me Brawny, right? Like Kleenex has already won the tissue game. They're not even technically Kleenexes, it's a brand, right? They're tissues, but they've already won that space because you associate tissue with Kleenex. That's what I'm trying to get you guys to do. I'm trying to get you guys to build name recognition and brand rather than worrying about selling your horse crap to somebody who doesn't need it. Yes?
So with all these different platforms and all these different demands on attention, and it's growing exponentially, is there a point of exhaustion where the human brain just says, enough, I don't want...
For some people. I mean,
And what does this mean for our marketing?
So yeah, definitely the way we're taking in content has definitely increased. Fun little statistic, in the 20th century, if you take every little piece of content that was created, movies, radio shows, whatever, and put them all in a box, and then take every 48 hours now and put it in a box, the 48-hour box is bigger. So we are creating more content every 48 hours than was created in the last century. That's a huge influx of information, a huge influx of just stuff being thrown at us, right? Yes, I definitely think it's possible to get burnt out. I think of social media marketing almost like working out in a weird way. I did not start grounds running where I am at today on social media marketing, right? I had to force myself to do it. It was very unnatural for me. I'm truthfully a quiet, very shy person, right? You wouldn't know it maybe by me standing up on stage talking to you guys, but I very much like to keep to myself. And so it was very unnatural for me to go into social media where it's so sharing and transparent and all that. I would just not beat yourself up like for not doing what you think you should be doing, right? Just start with small micro actions, you know, post just once a day. If you can post once a day, consider that a win and just pat yourself on the back, you know what I'm saying? Then move up to 2 times a day and then start replying to comments once you get comments and only reply to a few comments a day, as much as you can handle, right? But it's still just the same thing as working out. Like if you can only do 10 push-ups, then tomorrow you should do 11, you know what I'm saying? And you don't get the social media marketing muscles without doing it. Yeah.
You have a pretty cool story on how you even got here today. Can you back up to what we talked about earlier, just to give people an idea of how organically you built this public speaking that you didn't even intend to do?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm a music producer, right? Like I told you at the beginning, I'm not a public speaker. I like to make music on my computer and sit in my room, and that's what I do. I then got a big client who is in the Tampa area. It's a dentist. He flew me down, literally made me move halfway across the country to run his marketing campaigns, and he pays me a crap load of money, so it was worth it. And it literally impacted my life nothing. Like I still wake up and do whatever I want to every single day, just because it's not like job, it's clients, right? And that's huge for me, right? There's no buying me. But the way I did it organically, again, is what I'm trying to teach you guys of brand building, value giving, like media creation, because that's how I did it. I have 24,000 followers on Instagram because I've individually hit up almost every single one of them. And I try to talk to every single one of them. And if you can't do that in today's business world, then I'm sorry, you have no business running a business. But yeah, I got this public speaking stuff by literally just being a friend with a music producer. He introduced me to Tammy, who is, I believe, head of Florida Chamber of Commerce. Yeah. She talked to me. She was like, hey, like you seem like a smart kid. Come talk to us. And so, yeah, that was, beginning of May? Was it? Was it end of April? No, beginning? Okay, yeah. And so now I'm here. This is only my second public speaking event, so.
So there's a few people, like there's some that are small business owners, but then some, like we've got someone here that works for Make-A-Wish Foundation, right?
So some nonprofits?
Sorry, Make a Difference, sorry. We've got Cracker Barrel, we've got some accountants, we've got some other civic organizations, things like that. So any suggestions or?
Who owns the Cracker Barrel? You?
Don't own it. We started a catering division of the restaurant, and I'm the sales manager from Brooksville to St. Petersburg.
So just to clarify, it's a Cracker Barrel catering service that, okay, so for sales, what are you doing? Are you just doing it hand to hand? Are you creating content for that, or?
No, that's what I'm here for.
Okay.
Kind of learn.
So, again, my biggest thing is documenting, right? Like, even if you have to pull out an iPhone, you'd be surprised what quality content is created with iPhones nowadays. They have 4K cameras, right? Just documenting the process of the food creation, it being delivered and set up, and then just showcasing that while at the end of the movie, then telling them what kind of deals you have, right? Is, again, it's media propaganda, right? Like telling them how much you care, telling them how much love you put into your food, you know, just all that general stuff is really just the game you got to play. Yes, sir.
Can you give us more detail on how you talk to the Instagram people as the dentist?
As the dentist, yes. I literally look for pretty people on Instagram who have good smiles, and I tell them if they come in, we'll give them a free exam, x-ray, right? And then free cleaning, and then free whitening in return for just a post. Yes, sir.
I'll go.
Yeah?
Ace doesn't make it?
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding. Give me your information, and yeah, I'll set something up for you. Because it's again, through social media with the Instagram, you can see who you're targeting, right? So if I'm trying to sell a rapper, right, for my music production business, and I'm going to look at his profile, see he likes maybe the New York Nets, and be like, yo, did you see that Nets game? Yeah, they fucked up, man. Like, having a terrible season. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're giving you everything that they love. They're giving you everything. Use it. It's like ammunition. It's silver bullets that you can use. Slay your dragon. Get your customer. Anything else?
Does anyone have any questions? Anything?
How much time would you expect to spend on small businesses?
What do you mean?
On social media, like.
If I was running the business, 24 hours a day. I live on my phone.
Yeah.
Like I seriously, people, it's funny, a couple of years ago, someone asked me what I did for a living, and I literally said, I sit on social media all day and sell stuff. I live on it. And so does my age group. Yes, ma'am.
How many smartphones do you have and what kind are they?
I have two. My personal is an iPhone 6S, and I have a business iPhone 10.
And what are your favorite apps?
Well, if you look at my home screen, you can actually learn a lot about somebody by looking at what their home screen is. I got Facebook, Messenger, Twitter, Instagram up top, Snapchat, YouTube, SoundCloud, Gmail, my email marketing, photos, FaceTime, reminders, notes. But really just the top four are what I spend most of my time on. Those are the most important to me right now. I'm a huge fan of Facebook Messenger. Once artificial intelligence kind of scales and bot messaging gets real, that's going to be a huge, huge time saver for everybody. Like all the stuff that I'm talking about of hitting up people directly and talking to them, when artificial intelligence messaging bots exist, like they'll do that for you. So
Maybe
it's going to be.
They're not there yet, are
No, they're not even
Maybe
close.
talk about the Google Assistant. I don't know if anyone else saw. How much you know about it or anything like that.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
that
you
kind of ties
you
in.
have to be aware of, again, with artificial intelligence and the theme of how people love time. Like Uber doesn't sell transportation. Uber sells time, or at least the perception of time. Because you can be in New York City and watch 1 million cabs go by, but that Uber that's going to be there in 7 minutes just bought you 7 minutes to do whatever you want, right? And so time is a huge aspect. Honestly, people care more about time for the most part than money, right? I definitely care more about time than money. That's why you can't buy me, right? There's no me working for anybody because I care about time more. And so with that, Google Assistant is going to be able to literally, if I want to meet with Grace, right? And I'm like, Google, I need to meet with Grace. Google Assistant's going to contact Grace's Google Assistant, figure out what time in her schedule best is like met for us to meet up and where we're going to be in the same vicinity together. It might not even be here. It might be, turns out that 2 months from now we're going to be in Dallas at the same time just by happenstance, and we're going to be in the same area in Dallas, and we can meet at a coffee shop for 15 minutes, and that's going to be the most optimized time that we can meet. And it's going to automatically set up that meeting. Like the automation of things are about to get way quicker. It's awesome. Yeah.
I work for a newspaper, a community newspaper, and
Uh-huh.
I sell advertising. What would you suggest I do to utilize some of the social media? Because we're kicking and screaming, obviously, because our
Yeah, I was gonna say,
vehicle is print.
If you're selling newspaper advertising, I'm surprised you're still alive.
No, actually, we have a niche community paper, which is very
Oh, okay.
strong.
So it's local.
Yes.
Awesome.
Hyper local.
I think literally all you need to do, you're in a super good place with that. If you have small, niche, local, and have already a decent readership, do you have their emails by chance? Like, do you have an email list that you run?
No, not typically, but
Okay.
we do get emails for working with
Okay.
advertising.
I was gonna tell you if you had an email list of your customer base, you can export that, dump it into the Facebook ads platform, and then they'll create a custom audience for you of all those people, and you can show them to you in your Facebook, right? That's very targeting of previous readers, right? What you can do, and the easiest way to do it, is to take every single thing you're doing, story-wise and written-wise, have somebody in like a newsroom with a green screen on camera, starting to video record it, and then put it on Facebook and run geolocation targeting within a couple mile radius of your location.
Okay, so kind of reading the stories that we already printed.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are already, again, I love the fact that you're in the media business because you really get what I'm talking about. We're storytellers, right? So you already have the stories. You've eliminated the hardest problem already. All you need to do is transcribe that written content into other forms like audio and video. Okay. If you have someone with a really good voice, start a local podcast, right? So,
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
I might have missed this because I came in a little late, but how do we follow you on Instagram?
My non-music related Instagram is Kingston Consulting. Kingston Consulting. I'm going to scale it and sell it. Any other questions?
How much time do you typically spend on making a marketing plan or strategic plan for that? One platform.
For one platform, I try not to overthink stuff a lot of the time. It just depends what I'm doing, right? If I have a client who comes to me with a specific goal or a KPI, a key performance indicator, I always try to structure that campaign around that goal, right? So if they just want to get reach and get in front of people, well, then you create very value-based content. You know, if it's more of a sales thing for a brick and mortar business, well, then you have to create content that gets them in the door. You know what I'm saying? For then the salespeople to take over. And so it's understanding the objective and then back tracing of how to get there, right? So, did that answer it? I mean, I can keep...
Say realty.
Yeah.
You're going to want to look for a customer basis. You want to go off of a personal account. So like someone has this great experience with our service. They're going to go tell XYZ, I had this great experience.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's making it personable. So then you are trusting your friend telling you, they gave me a great experience. I'm happy where I'm living. This is my life. This is where my family is.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where I want to target?
Rephrase that again, because I didn't understand what you were asking.
So I'm targeting people,
Uh-huh.
clearly. I'm trying to come off as human and personable.
Uh-huh.
I say this person had a good experience. Their friends are going to see that and trust our business and come for our business.
Uh-huh.
Should I market their review?
If the review is favorable, yeah.
Oh,
Word of mouth, yeah. Any
The
testimonials.
listing we have on our Instagram.
Oh, yeah, because testimonials sell themselves, right? The reason I was able to get into marketing so quickly was because literally I did it for free for somebody, got really good results, and all I did was I posted the results, and everybody else was like, oh, okay, he can do it. It's like, if you think of sales like a horseshoe, you start at the beginning, and the other side of the horseshoe is the sale, right? Everybody likes to go around the horseshoe, build value, introduce themselves, blah, 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 close the deal, overcome objections, all that stuff, and they work all this time going around the horseshoe. I like to cheat. I like to start at the end, give them the end, because then I can just cut across to the beginning, because I've eliminated the process of having to sell them. I want to sell people without them knowing that they're being sold.
What do you think about constant contact or MailChimp?
I love email marketing. I'm a huge fan of it because, one, email is literally the foundation of what we build everything off of, right? Like without an email, you're not going to have a social media profile and everything. So email's a lot more eternal than something like Facebook or Instagram, right? Though you also have to keep in mind that I mean, in the 90s or early 2000s, email open rates were 90%, right? And now they're closer to 30. So again, people care less, so you got to be really creative with your email marketing. But I'm a huge fan of it if it's value driven, right? So I'm a huge fan of educating my customer, right? So educating them, creating a written email of what happens when you don't clean your garbage can or disposal, like all the flies, give them all the negatives. That's interesting content, right? Yeah. So it's educating. And that's the huge thing about social media too, is like before I could have never educated someone in California, right? Nowadays I can educate someone in California and they can spread my good word. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I hope that answered your question. Anything else?
Do you have any thoughts on the value of Google Street View and 360 tours for brick and mortar?
Yes and no. I think that is really based on Google search inquiry, right, at the same time. So you have to look, even though that's a cool value prop, you also have to look at the search numbers. Google search numbers are down drastically. And in the next few years, they're going to decline even more as voice starts to overtake our decision-making process, right? When I no longer have to go to Google to figure out who was, like, what time King Louis VIII ran, like, his reign, right? And I can just say it, my audio device listens to me and then answers it, that eliminates search inquiries as a whole completely.
Yeah, it sure does. I mean, I constantly sit there. If I have anything, I just say, hey, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why am I want to sit
It's
there
way
on
quicker.
this stupid computer and try to type and make 300 mistakes as I type?
Yeah. See, you get it. I'm going to go hang out over here with this guy.
Not even get there.
Hey, Alex, you've talked about how, the jabs, you give,
Mhm.
you give, and you give, and then eventually, you can have your hook there. So for you, you're giving away a service, not necessarily a good. So like someone that has a brick and mortar that has
Yeah.
an item or a good to give away, how would you, is there a way to translate that for them?
I mean, it's the whole free sample thing, right? I desperately believe that people do not get addicted to free, but they do get addicted to discounts, right? If you think of a restaurant business, right? When you go into a restaurant, if you go into a restaurant and they give you an introductory discount, you're going to think that you get that discount every single time. You're going to want to come back and get the hookup, right? But if I run a restaurant and I'm like, hey, come in, we'll give you a free appetizer with your meal, they don't get addicted for that. They understand that that's a limited time, like, yeah.
Okay.
So people do not get addicted to free, they get addicted to discounts, which is why I never tell my clients to run any discounts.
So offer something.
Because then you're just undercutting yourself. You might think that discount helps sell it, but that extra 25% off does not make the difference. You're just undercutting your own money.
I've heard people say, now this may sound really weird, but that they would be in their house and they have an Alexa and they're talking about buying a bicycle or something. And then all of a sudden later, like Alexa almost like knew that you wanted a bicycle. And so
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as cookies on the internet, right? When you go to a website, so if you go onto Disney.com and you're looking at Disney trips, I guarantee if you go to Facebook, you're going to see Disney on your timeline. It's the same thing, right? But it's just in voice rather than written or like monitoring your web activity. It's just the same thing.
So it doesn't mean someone's listening to you.
Well, I mean, there's a huge conspiracy theories on that, but I mean, again, my whole thing, I love internet security. I run VPNs and all that stuff like that, but I'm not like making bombs or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could care less if Amazon Alexa knows what kind of weird shit I like to look up on the internet about like cat videos or something, right? Like, it's harmless. I mean, people like to do the whole Big Brother thing, but you also have to realize, back to the whole time thing, people really value their time. I don't think people care about their privacy as much as they think they do, because if you did, you wouldn't be on social media, you wouldn't be on Facebook. The reason you give away all your information and lack of privacy is to save you time. The reason you're willing to hit that Facebook login button on every single app is because you don't want to take the time to sign up. You just want them to have all your Facebook information and log into whatever thing they're using, you know? So it's the time aspect. I think that's very important in any business nowadays, is trying to save your customer time, or at least convincing them that you save them time. Anything else?
What do you think about the IHOB campaign?
IHOP?
IHOB.
IHOB, I'm not familiar with that.
They're not pancakes, they're burgers.
They changed the P, IHOP to IHOB.
Oh.
And they just announced, they did a teaser campaign for a week or so, and now they changed it to burger.
Yeah, I haven't heard about it, but does anybody know if it's like legitimate? Are they actually rebranding, or is it just like
Temporary.
Oh, well, yeah, well, it's just
to promote the fact they serve burgers and not just pancakes, but
yeah.
I saw a post this morning called Pancake King, with the Burger King.
Yeah.
But it got you talking.
Yeah, it's understanding that it's a buzz thing. It's almost like do you guys know what trolling is? Yeah. While I do not recommend you antagonize belligerently, I am a huge fan of a little bit trolling, right? If you go onto my Facebook and look at my content, I create content very specifically to where I used to call it terrorist marketing, but I have since changed it to Fanta marketing because I realized how bad that sounded. And I call it Fanta marketing, and this goes into the media propaganda aspect of it. I create a fictitious enemy. So as a music producer, if I want to market myself to producers, I call them out, right? I'm like, hey, if you're a music producer and you're doing this type of behavior that all of a sudden my brand has deemed unsavory or ill-advised, then you're an effing loser type shit. Like, I will belligerently call out people because what it does is it creates two reactions. Either one, someone in their own head goes, well, that's not me, and they like me for it. Or two, they say, F that guy, he's a jerk and egotistical. They hate me for it, which then again goes back to that hating. So I've already got rid of the hardest part. And then a month later, they'll hit me back up and be like, you know what, you were right. So again, the kind of creating content that isn't popular with the common thought of the industry is what you do to break through to get your message out. Like whatever industry you're in, I would highly recommend just going the opposite way.
So Alex, this is my famous invite. I invite you to take over the Chamber's social media for 1 month.
For 1 month?
Yeah, and make us the rock star that we know we are.
Okay, we'll talk after.
All right, guys.
All right, well, thank you, Alex. I think everyone really enjoyed that.
Thank you for having me.
For a little bit too.
Hi, I'm with Advanced Payroll Consultants. My name is Bill Conklin, and we compete against the big guys. What Alex told me is to differentiate yourself, it's almost to do a Donald Trump. Criticize your competition. So mine is going to be, hey, big guys, if all you're doing is processing numbers for a client, then you better change, because your client's going to be losing money when they're not aware of all the human capital management rules and regulations that there are. And Alex, great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, I'm Jim Schaefer with Real Reach Marketing Consulting, and what Alex taught me was that I don't want to do Snapchat because I'm old, but I'm going to do it. Kicking and screaming.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Terry Williamson. I'm with the Laker Lutz News, your community newspaper. And what I learned is something that we've already been dancing around with, just don't have the confidence necessarily to do with the Laker, and that we need to create podcasts around our content, because content is king, because without content, there's nothing to read. So thank you, Alex.
No problem.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I hope everyone enjoyed today. And
thank
really
you guys
thank
again.
You, Alex.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you coming up.